Hey everybody, Jerry Reiner here again with you for the second episode of Inside the Match, where I take you in depth into what's going on during a few of my matches. In this episode, we're going to focus on another opponent I had a lot of chemistry with, but then again, everybody had a lot of chemistry with him and his whole family, and that's Scott Armstrong. Just one of the great workers of our time. And we're going to get into the first one's going to be from the Pensacola Wrestling Alliance. It's going to be the Superkick match shortly after Scotty defeated me for the PWA heavyweight title right after I turned heel and joined the Black Sheep. This is taking place at the Pensacola Wrestling Academy, which is the school where Bobby Dahl trained his students, and he was also the guy that ran the PWA. The whole point of it in the beginning was to give the students a place to work in front of the crowd and kind of hone their craft. And we're going to start out listening to the promo I cut at the beginning, which sets up the Superkick match. And of course, the rules for the match are you can only pin somebody after, following one of us hitting the Superkick. I set it up because my finish at the time was the Superkick, and of course, Superkick Scott Armstrong. That's a no-brainer. A lot of people are talking about the Superkick nowadays, I've noticed, because the Young Bucks use it 32 times in a match, and it's not really a finish anymore. Back then it still was, so that's why we kind of put this together.
I'm going to tell you what, since you are supposedly Superkick Scott Armstrong, and you've been going around using my finishing maneuver, a cheap copy of the Lightning Strike Superkick, that's right, you know it. Since you've been going around using my move, the Superkick, what say we make this match a Superkick match, where the only way you can go down and count the 3-count referee is following a Superkick. Did I mention Superkick?
Hey, if Mr. Asshole says I can do it, I'll do it.
A Superkick match here tonight? Superkick. For the belt? What kind? Superkick. Superkick? Let's do it.
Alright, here we go, we're getting started. Of course, Scotty giving me his back so I can jump start the match. And right off the bat, of course Scott Armstrong is calling this match because, he's been in the business forever. He knows what he's doing. He's a little older even at this point in his career. I think he had already refereed in WCW. This is 2001. Oh, here's my, I thought it would be funny as a heel to trip getting into the ring. I have people to this day to my face tell me that I didn't do that on purpose. And I absolutely did, but I can say that till I'm blue in the face, nobody believes me. As a heel, you want to poke fun at yourself, you want to be the butt of the joke, and that's why I did that. But yeah, Scotty, so smooth in the ring, just like all of the Armstrongs. They inherited it from Bullet Bob, rest in peace, one of the greatest men I ever knew. In or out of pro wrestling. Teasing the Superkick again. Scotty knows what he's doing. So right off the bat, we established that both of us are going to try to hit the Superkick because that's how you win the match. Now this was taking place, I don't know exactly what month it is, but it's shortly before September because I was just a couple of months away at this point from tearing my ACL and being out of the business for a year. I would do commentary and things like that and ring announcing in the meantime, but I wasn't able to wrestle because I had to get a ACL reconstruction. And actually in the next match, you'll see where I didn't notice at the time, but it was already starting to show itself that my knee was getting weaker. And we'll talk about that more in the next match. Locking up there, working the arm. The PWA always did the live commentary, which I was not a big fan of. Even I was one of the ones who did it, obviously, when I was out. But it's I've never been a fan of commentary over an actual live match, just because with the PA it's hard to hear exactly what the announcers are saying. It makes the crowd be quiet. They don't, like, they're not as raucous or loud because they're listening to the commentary. And of course I'm a heel, so I'm gonna get to the ropes. I always like doing this little thing where I grab the ropes on the bottom like a coward, and it gets the desired effect from both Scotty and the fans. I always appreciated the PWA because it was in my hometown of Pensacola, and they did TV, and it was 4 times a month, so every week I would be able to get my reps in and, you know, polish my skills, as it were, with some good talent. A little tackle drop down hip toss spot with the leapfrog there. And of course, going back to that teasing the super kick. Good psychology. And of course, we're shining the baby face. So Scotty's going to come out on top with everything in the beginning of the match until the cutoff, where we start the heat. I was never a fan of the live commentary. To me, it just takes away from the match, takes away from the crowd reacting to the match. Okay, I believe this is the heat spot. It was Scotty came up with this one. Again, making me look better than I really am. Although I was really coming into my own at this point. It was pretty much right around 2000, 2001 was my physical prime, right before I blew my knee out. Little short drop kick, that was one of my favorites. Again, this shortly after I turned heel, joined the Black Sheep, won the PWA title. And I'm calling Rachel, her ring name was Nikki, she was the Black Sheep's valet, calling her up to the ring apron so that I can get some cheap heat behind the referee's back. And those kicks look a little powdery soft, but when I was working with the Armstrongs, I did that. Actually, Brian Road Dogg recently said something about everybody in his family wanted to work with me because I was so light, so that made me feel really good. A couple of hard gut shots. That's a little hope spot. You always want to give the baby face little spots inside of the heel heat, just so the fans, you know, if you're the baby face, you don't want to just die. You want the fans to know that you're still in it. So a couple of gut shots and then the heel rake in the eyes is a perfect way to do that. It's super simple. Drop kick to the knee. And I'm saying to the crowd, is he going to super kick me with that leg? Watch my knee give out right here a little bit. The precursor, before I realized it was weak and going to give soon. Maybe I'll do a video about that sometime. I've got the footage from the carousel where I was wrestling El Satanico and blew my knee out. Working the leg, working the crowd. The Armstrongs were always just a joy to work with. Marking out a little bit. Now we go to school. I couldn't resist. One thing I didn't think about, though, the only way to win the match is the super kick, and I'm trying to get a submission here. What would have happened if Scotty had given up? We'll never know, because he didn't. You got Kyle Sasso on the outside with a little leverage. Kyle was a really important part of the PWA early on, like in a backstage capacity. He was only 18, but man, he was just ahead of his time when it came to writing angles and storylines. Waiting for the count of 4 to break. Scotty feeding to the floor, giving me the opportunity to I imagine we planned this beforehand. Had to have been, right? But I go to super kick him and hit the ring post. Here's a little self-critique. I sell it in the moment right here really hard. But because we're still in the heat, I slide in and I give him a chop block to keep working on his leg. And I still sell it. Like right there, you see me kind of shaking it off, and I go to give Chris Irish some shit. See, when I came down, I sold it, but from here on out, I kind of don't. Which, that's a little critique of my own work. Oh wow, we're going for the double down. A double down's a good way. It's best in tag matches right before the hot tag, but you can also use it in a singles match to as a precursor for the comeback. And this is going to be the babyface comeback. Doing the old Hulk Hogan gimmick where he blocks the punches and fires back. Mounts me in the corner for the 10 punches. Old school. Is going to shoot me across. Alright, Scotty charges in and misses into the buckle. Here comes my super kick. Not my best. It looks like I caught him with a toe there. It'll do. And now, of course, I'm the heel, so I've got to play to the crowd a little bit, waste a little time, because, you know, I hit my finish and it's not going to be the finish. And Scotty kicks out, and of course I'm dumbfounded and can't believe it. I really like the way this match is constructed. And of course all that credit goes to Scott Armstrong. And he's going to duck the Cliz Liz. There's his super kick, but he's not in a position to go for the cover. And of course I'm selling like I'm dead. I'm going to come to my feet here. This is a little bit over the top right here. If I could take this back, I would. And there it is, and that's going to be the finish. Excellent match. And let's go to the next one. This one's going to be also from the PWA Academy. It's going to be my rematch for the championship.
His opponent, the current PWA heavyweight champion, Pentacle's own Scott Armstrong!
Alright, getting started here. There's Scotty coming out with the championship belt of the Pensacola Wrestling Alliance. I'm not sure how many times I wrestled Scott. I have 3 recorded, but if memory serves, there were a couple more. Here's a cheap plug for my playlist. Go to my YouTube page. 212 Jerry Reiner matches right there at your disposal. Always a great vibe in that PWA Academy. Pretty much the same fans week in, week out. This was my first time in my career really being a heel for any length of time. I really felt like I sunk my teeth into it. Rocking my new gear there. With the 100% heel right there on the ass. There's the Gaga right here at the beginning. A lot of fans crap all over that, but, I mean, it works. It's tried and true. There's a reason heels always do that. Shining the baby face, of course. There's a leapfrog. Powdering out. Playing the coward again. Messing with the ringsiders. I'm so glad that like all of these matches were recorded. That's one thing I can say I did right in my career was I tried to make sure all my matches were recorded so I'd be able to go back and look at them. I just can't understand destroying your body for little or no money and then having zero to show for it. A little more gaga there. Just so people understand what I'm talking about with the psychology and the structure of a match. Shining the babyface obviously means that the good guy out wrestles the bad guy in the beginning. Eventually, either through a missed move or cheating, some kind of chicanery, the heel takes over. That's the heat. That's the main part of the match where the babyface is fighting back from underneath. You want to give at least 3 hope spots usually, so that, like I said earlier, the babyface doesn't seem dead, like he's still in it. Then you have the what's called the comeback, which means the babyface takes the match back from the heel, and then you go to your finish, whatever it is. Could be the heel winning, could be the babyface winning, doesn't matter. And that's like a tried and true. And people will say, well, you know, if you have a formula, people are going to pick it out. Well, I mean, there's a million ways that you can change it. You can lengthen one part, shorten one part. There's a point in this match where Scott heard the announcers say something about how much pizza was left in the concession stand, and Scotty did not like that. And he says, went from selling pizzas to selling arms. There's a spot coming up here. I'm not sure why she missed it, but I was just signaling to her to grab Scott's leg. So I dropped down and she just didn't do it. So we just rolled with the punches. There's a couple of weird things that go on in this match. Yeah, I think it was supposed to be the cutoff to begin the heat, and she missed it, so we just went with something else. But at some point, and I don't know all the details, but one of the wrestlers' kids, if I remember correctly, was running around ringside being rambunctious, and somebody from the PWA said something to him and it set him off. And I'm not sure when it happens, but we were about to go into a spot, I think it's a little later on, and Scott recognized that something was going on outside that was taking the focus away from our match. So the way you can tell is I've got a headlock or he's got a headlock, and we just kind of stop for a minute. You know what? Come to think of it, that might have been what was going on when she missed the leg spot and she didn't grab Scotty's leg. It might have been because of that commotion going on. I'm not sure. It might have already happened.
That's the only time I ever wanted to be Scott Armstrong.
Nothing crazy here, super simple. Some kicks to the midsection. Yeah, I really took to being a heel. It was a lot of fun. I had been a babyface. I think I was 8, maybe almost 9 years into my career at this point. Oh, here's that point I was talking about in the last match where my knee gives out. That was not in the cards. That wasn't supposed to happen. It just buckled under me and I couldn't hold his weight. So what do? Come off the top rope and land on my knees. Okay, we're going into the finish here. Here comes Jace Darkheart. keep an eye on this. The belt, he's supposed to give me a belt shot when we go to the ropes. It's pretty terrible. It got the job done, but the timing was not good there. But he was a student, so he was learning. And that's going to be our finish. And here come the Black Sheep hitting the ring. Bobby and C-Note, Charles. They're going to beat Scotty down. I believe we were headed toward Scott feuding with Bob. A couple of really nicely executed pile drivers here from Bob. Safe, but still look good. And little Arn and Tully homage here. Spike pile driver. That'll do it for this match. The next one's going to be from High Impact Wrestling. It was promoted by Kurt Diamond. And it's going to be me and Scotty once again, so stay tuned for that one. As Jace Darkheart trips all over Scott Armstrong. Bless his heart.
We're back, wrestling fans, with another great one-on-one match.
All right, here we go with the third match. Scott Armstrong versus Jerry Reiner. I'm not sure what year this took place exactly. Probably 2003-ish, I would guess, if I had to make an estimate. Hopefully the sound won't be too bad on this one because I do post-production commentary on it. So you'll be hearing my voice over my voice. I might have to mute it out completely. If so, I'm sorry about that. It's what I did in the first episode. Kind of didn't like it too much. But I'll do what I have to do. As you see Scotty going around ringside. There's a funny Armstrong rib at one point in this match, I'll point out, where he ribs me a little bit during the match. Quick arm drag for your babyface shine right off the bat. Shout out to Kurt Diamond, a.k.a. Curtis Prezioso. He was the one promoting the High Impact Wrestling HIW events and always had a quality show, a quality event, always used good talent. So shout out to Curtis. Coming back in the ring there, complaining to the official. I think what I'm doing is feeding something to the referee, asking what's next. And he's going over to Scotty to get the spot. Referee gives it back to me. That's a good way to talk to your opponent. Oh, this is where the rib comes in. Scott wanted me to throw a punch and hit him. Reason being, he put a blood capsule in his mouth. And no, folks, the blood in pro wrestling is almost always real. This is just a rib he was doing with me. He wanted me to think I busted his lip open and he was upset with me. So you'll see that come to fruition here in a little bit. We'll drop down another arm drag, powdering back out again. And I'm not clued in on the rib yet. Here he comes. He's sure to make eye contact with me here in just a moment. And you'll see him, he keeps checking his lip. Selling the fact that I busted his lip open. Right here, I think it was. Took me back a little bit there for a second. And of course, when I lock up with him here, I go, Scotty, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to get you. And of course I didn't. And he says, I'm just ribbing you, it was a blood capsule. Right there I was like, uh-oh. Because the Armstrong boys do have quite the temper. That's a well-known fact among wrestlers. And right here is where I'm like, I'm so sorry, Scott, I'm so sorry. He's like, I was just ribbing you. Little things that wrestlers do just amongst themselves, just to keep themselves entertained.
Reiner complaining to the official.
Tying up again, taking the arm.
Center of the ring, standing wrist lock applied by Mr. Electricity, winding the arm now.
Scotty with the reversal.
Reversal of the hold there by Armstrong.
Little chain wrestling.
Into the hammerlock, standing side.
Super easy stuff.
The wrist lock. Nice
And of course,
shown
as the heel, have to get to the ropes, get the break.
Scott Armstrong and Reiner escapes to the safety.
2 bumps so far in this match, folks.
Getting the break by the referee. Reiner complaining about a pull.
Scotty's so good. What a ring general.
Asking the ringside fans. And so far, it's been all Superkick Scott Armstrong dominating Mr. Electricity Jerry Reiner.
This time I'll snatch the headlock. I smell a tackle drop down, hip toss, leapfrog kind of deal coming up.
But he's shot off by Armstrong. Big tackle with momentum there.
Not necessarily in that order.
Beautiful high leapfrog and a hip lock takeover. And Armstrong was
Playing the classic chicken shit heel, begging off.
the son of the Georgia jawjacker himself, Boulevard Armstrong. And again, Reiner.
This taking place in Milton, Florida at the Santa Rosa County Auditorium. I can't count on both hands how many times I wrestled there.
You can just see the frustration mounting.
As you can see on my playlist, 212 Jerry Reiner matches. Once again, another cheap plug. Also, if you're watching this, please like and subscribe. I'm a little over 400 subscribers away from being able to monetize ads. That'll help, so I appreciate that in advance. Spitting out some of that quote-unquote blood.
Superkick Scott Armstrong on the offensive. But you gotta figure, even though
Ah, the old Greco-Roman knuckle lock.
in the business, you can take that and just about double it, and you've got the experience of a mat veteran like Scott Armstrong. And not only that, but Scott Armstrong was
I can understand, like modern fans, this wouldn't be their cup of tea. There's not enough high spots, what have you. Not enough fast action.
Roman knuckle lock test of strength here.
But I really like the old school, traditional pro wrestling style. If I had to say what I think the perfect pro wrestling style is, watch Bobby Eaton wrestle Brad Armstrong at Wrestle War 91 on WCW. To me, that's what pro wrestling should look like.
From Reiner.
It's like the perfect mesh between this style and the current high spot style where nobody sells.
The fans here at Milton.
And just to put that out there, Brad Armstrong, in my opinion, was in-ring the greatest professional wrestler of all time.
Fighting up from his knees. He's up to a vertical base.
Oh, we're going to do the stomp on the finger spot.
Being overpowered by Armstrong.
Oh, nope.
Armstrong trying to stomp the fingers there.
Threw a little monkey wrench into it.
But takes a hard right hand right to the noggin.
Little tweak of a classic.
And that one knocked Mr. Electricity for a loop.
Here's me hiding behind the security guard.
Reiner hiding behind one of the security guards here.
I miss these days.
And Mr. Electricity is not a happy camper.
Just a quick message for all you young up-and-coming wrestlers out there. Take less bumps.
Now,
Just make them mean more and take less. Try to preserve your body as best you can. Because let me tell you, I still hurt every single day. And I accidentally got poked in the eye there,
into a false sense of security.
but I'm trying not to sell it because this is the heat.
Rope there across that top rope. And that gave Reiner the break he needed to begin this
That was one of my go-to cutoffs, was being on the outside and just snapping the babyface's neck on the top rope. Worked every time.
Short drop kick right to the shoulder blades. Patented offense here from Mr. Electricity. Floats over for the cover, but fails to hook the leg and only a count of 2 there.
Another one of those powdery soft kicks. There's a lot of guys who will say things like, I would rather get kicked hard and it look good. I'm not of that opinion. Don't lay it in with me. I used to have a deal with Dan Delicious. He'd be like, I want you to really lay it in. I said, I'll make a deal with you. I'll really lay it in, but you don't lay it in with me. And we'll be fine. There's your little hope spot. A couple gut shots and cut him off.
Quick to cut off the action there, going to the eyes, and now choking away in the corner.
What a heel. Sporting my high impact wrestling shirt I had made at an airbrush booth
From Mr. Electricity,
for the occasion.
locks in an armbar there.
And we're in the meat of the heat, so I'm going to lock in a rest hold.
And the fans here in Milton, Florida, really rallying behind.
Here comes Scotty fighting back up. Pretty sure I'm going to cut him off. Oh, I pulled the tights.
Armstrong fought his way to his feet there, only to be pulled back down by the trunks.
So easy to work with any of the Armstrongs. They just had so much experience. They just knew what to do.
Vision there momentarily. Now a blatant chokehold.
And they'd let you call your own offense. It's not like Scotty was calling every single spot.
Reiner will go to any lengths to gain a victory over a legend like Scott Armstrong. It's a big feather in your cap, wrestling fans.
Oh, little sunset flip here.
The second,
Always a good hope spot.
nowhere,
As soon as he kicks out, you just cut him off.
but barely able to kick out there, Mr. Electricity.
My flying lariat Barry Windham homage. I think one of the problems with wrestling now is that they plan every spot from beginning to end.
To gain the
And when you do that, you don't take into effect what the fans want.
out by Mr. Electricity.
Like, guys like the Armstrongs instilled it in me that you have to read the crowd.
Whipping a reverse elbow smash.
And if they don't like what you're giving them, you change it up and give them something else. Instead of just having a A, B, C, D, E match pre-planned in the back. Usually my favorite, I mean, there's gray area in between those two extremes. Probably my favorite would be that you plan out the opening of the match, you plan out the cutoff, and you plan out the comeback and the finish. So 4 main things you need to know beforehand. And then everything else you pretty much call on the fly. I think there's a creative edit coming up here.
Right in front of the official. Good
Every now and then there'll be something wrong with the tape, or the battery will run out on the camera, or there'll be a defect on the VHS or what have you. There it was.
Reiner with a head of steam. Nobody
And when I'm editing them out, I try to get it as close as possible as far as ring positioning for us to be in the right spot.
pushes man into the ropes. Reverse elbow smash. And Scott
And here comes Scotty with the fiery babyface comeback.
got that second win.
Gorgeous standing drop kick.
Kick. And Scott
I swear, Bullet Bob just handed down the DNA for great pro wrestlers to all his sons.
hammering away with hard
It's just in their blood.
as the fans here in Milton count along.
Let's see, I can't remember how we go home here. There's a cutoff. I'm going for shock therapy here. The old straight jacket neck breaker. That was my finish at the time.
Patented finishing maneuver
Oh, he kicks the knee.
to the knee there.
Duck the clothesline super kick.
Line.
And that's going to be it, folks. I hope you enjoyed this second episode of Inside the Match, and we'll see you next time with episode 3. Like and subscribe.
Stay tuned, more action up next.